Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm sorry I'm running late. My name is Rosendo Pili, and I am the customer success manager at Major League Hacking. And I just wanted to, I just wanted to let you guys know to let y'all know that I'm really happy to be here. So thanks for having me. Today we're going to be connecting two APIs together. So if you've been waiting all week long to kind of like get this challenge out of the way, then you're in luck because I am here to walk you through it. So first things first, let's just get over here. And yeah, if you haven't visited our website yet and registered for this event, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and go over to organize.mlh.io, and the URL is going to be streaming on the ticker at the bottom of the screen there. So go ahead and feel free to grab that. And I'm also going to post it in the comment section here. So whenever you get a chance, just go in there, pop in, and hit the register button, and you should be good to go. All right. So at the end of this, what you're going to want to do is also check out our dev post. So this is going to be in the week-long dev post. Go in there, and as you can see, you're going to have this you're going to have this entire the entire week, essentially, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. Since this is a week-long challenge, you'll be able to just start your project and submit it. And of course, it's going to ask you to prove you're not a robot. I'm not sure whether or not I could prove that on a regular basis, but that was a pretty easy one. So here you're just gonna obviously write down your project name and the elevator pitch for your project name here. I'm just gonna say API project, and elevator pitch is, since what I'm gonna be doing today is actually creating a random word generator that then pulls from a separate API that gives me the definition of the random word that I generated. This is gonna be called random word generator that pulls from a separate API, that gives me that word's definition. And you know what? Yours is going to be better. Obviously, this one is not so good, but I'm going to go ahead and finish that up later. For the time being, I'm just going to go ahead and start linking you to the resources that you're going to need to follow along if you plan on doing so. This is just a random word API that I found on Heroku. I'm going to be referencing it as I, go through this entire process. And the second API that I'm going to be using is the Merriam-Webster's Dictionary API. It's yes, I did just start. Hey, for anyone just joining us, all we've done thus far is go ahead and register in the event over at the LHD Build Organize HQ page. So just pop on over there. It's clicking on the bottom of the screen there. You're going to see it in the ticker. And just go ahead and hit register. Make sure that you get points for being here. And then later on, we're going to make sure that you get some points for your guild for actually completing this subject, for completing the challenge. Secondly, what we're going to do, I'm going to be using JavaScript for any of y'all folks who are going to try to be following along. It's going to be really simple. You know what? I thought about how to do this challenge, and since I was going to be doing it live, I wanted to keep it as simple as possible. And also we don't have that much time, so I didn't want to get too convoluted. We'll try to take it to the next level depending on how far we get. So that being said, as I mentioned, go ahead and check out the APIs that I'll be using. It's going to be the Merriam-Webster Dictionary API and the Random Word API Heroku app. I don't know who made this, but shout outs to you because I've been using it since yesterday. And hopefully we can get some traction here and make sure that we are, making some progress on the challenge itself. So as we mentioned, we're going to have two APIs talking to each other. I didn't want to just create an application that had one API maybe take user information, and then the other API just store some user preferences in that API. I wanted to make it so that I didn't have to do anything other than click a button and then have the two APIs talk to one another. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So like I said, pretty simple in concept, and it's just gonna make thinking about these types of challenges, while they may seem very complicated at first, they're actually not so complicated if you decide to take the simple route like I did. So first things first, I'm gonna go ahead and start creating a folder that I can just store all this stuff in, and I've already done that actually. I did it in my previous LHD build workshop. So I'm gonna go ahead and CD into my LHD build folder. And if I ls here, okay, so I've got my website redesign. That was what I did on Tuesday. Today, we're going to be doing API projects. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a new folder for that. mkdr, API project. and cd into API project. Awesome. So now we're there. It's empty. It's empty. I'm in the right folder. Now I'm gonna go ahead and start creating the stuff that I need. So I'm going to need a app.js. I'm gonna need an index.html just to render my HTML. And I don't know if I need a styles.css, but we'll make one anyway, just in case we get to that point. And yeah, that should be it. That should be it. You know what? I'm gonna create an env.js just in case, because I do want to hide my API keys. And also I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna make sure I create a git ignore in here as well. So let's go ahead and do that. And we should be good to go. Let's see, any questions thus far? No, we're good. All right, let's launch this bad boy. And here we are. All right, so we're in the git ignore file. We got the app.js, we've got the env.js, index.html. Let's just go ahead and start doing our boilerplate code here, and let's make sure that we are linking everything that we need. So I'm just gonna link my style sheet, even though I might not need it later. We'll see. This is an href, I'm pretty sure. Yes, href. And then let's see here, styles.css. All right, and I'm gonna run my script tag down here. All righty. So the type is going to be a module, and src is gonna be app.js. Close the tag, boom. All right. So we've got our index.html. Yeah, I can zoom in for sure. There you go. Let me try to zoom in a little bit more. All right, so I've got my index.html. I'm going to go live here with my live terminal just to make sure that we are actually rendering stuff. Not yet, obviously, but first things first, I'm going to go ahead and just do a hello world here. H1 hello world. Make sure we're all set up. Boom, there it goes. I can delete this now. What link we can use to follow along? Yeah, so right now what you're gonna want to do is just create a file structure for yourself and drop some of these baseline files in there to essentially start building out the project. Index.html, styles.css, and a JavaScript file of the name that you choose. And if you want, like I mentioned before, I do have a link to these APIs that I'll be using. If you do want to follow along, you're just going to want to make sure that you kind of sign up for the dictionary API, because it will require you to have a key. I will be explaining what app.js and env.js is at a later point in time. But if you do want this the head tags here, the content inside of the tags, inside of the head tag, this is what it is. And yeah, I'm just going to call this, I'm going to change the title to API project, and you can do so as well. So now that I know that this is actually connected because my hello world popped up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my app.js. And since I'm bringing it in as a module at the bottom of this file, I'm going to want to make sure that it's actually, actually connected. And we'll see by inspecting this page and checking out our console. And there you go, we've got a hello world. And the other thing I want to do is, now that that's working, I want to make sure that, let me see here. I want to make sure that I create a variable to store the body tag in there, because I'm going to be appending everything to the body tag. So that's something that I'm going to do here. I'm going to say const body equals document.query selector. And we'll just do body here. Actually, this is supposed to be in quotations. Single quotations is fine. And now what I'm going to do is, to test that, I'm going to say create element h1, and then I'm going to body.append child. Actually, const h1 equals, and then I'm going to say add h1 to the body, and then I'm going to say h1.text content equals hello world. And let's make sure that that works. Oops, I've got a mess up. All right, I think that's not how you do it. You do it like this. Hello world. There you go. There you go. Yep, so it's working and everything's set up. So I'm just gonna keep that as is for now. I don't need like the body.append child stuff. I was just doing that to make sure that everything was good to go. Access the script at blocked by course policy. Yeah, so I'm going to show you how you can go in and actually access all of this stuff in a moment in time, but give me a second here. The one thing I do want to set up is I'm not going to create this button inside of like the actual, like inside of JavaScript. I'm just going to render it here, and this is going to be called random word button. So I've got my button. It's up here, and I've got my JavaScript file. I've got my body tag. It's all the way at the top. And now the first thing that I want to do is I want to start actually taking a look at the, I'm sorry, I'm at a loss for words here. I want to start taking a look at how we can get the API actually, like, you know, we can start calling the API. So here we have the random word API. And as you can see here, it's asking us to use the \word question mark number equals 10 get request in order to request 10 words. I'm just going to change that to 1. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start writing up that code. So let me just grab this. Oh, whoops, sorry about that. Oh, sorry. Stuff is happening on my computer. And for some reason, give me a moment, folks. Sorry about that. Having a little technical difficulty here. Boom. All right, so I'm just going to grab this HTTP request here. So I'm going to say fetch. I'm going to put this inside of quotations. I'm going to grab that. And instead of home here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this and I'm going to put that at the end of this .com. Boom. And instead of 10, I'm going to change it to 1. And then I am going to here. Actually, let me close this up here. And then I'm going to say .then. And I'm going to say, sorry about that, folks. Oops. Let me break this out. Sorry about that. This shouldn't be here, but we're going to have it down here as reference. So this is like what the code that I wrote earlier, just to save some time. I do want to like not show you all of that because I kind of want to like do it like piece by piece. But let me see here. So this is the fetch call that we're going to be doing. And what I'm going to do is response equals, and this is just to save time. And I'm going to return my response in JSON form. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that response and I'm going to console log it. And we're going to go ahead and see what that response looks like. And of course, with every then, what you do is you create a catch and then you name the error. And if there is an error, you console log error. All right, so let's take a look at what happens inside of our console when we do this. This is HPI project. And as you can see, I'm getting one random word, right? And it's called unchastities. And it's coming in here on the side. And let me zoom in for the folks that can't see at home. Yeah, Adam, sorry you're getting this error inside your console. Go ahead and copy this fetch request that I have up here. It's going to be like just copy this exact syntax and return it as a JSON, return the response as a JSON object. And you should get something like this inside of your console, right? So now that we've got this set up here, we've got this fetch call and it's grabbing a number from the actual API. Okay. Yeah, just make sure that, yeah, just run it again and see whether or not you're still having the same error. As you can see, I'm having this error as well. You hit the rate limit, try again in a few seconds. Okay, so it's probably because there's like a ton of us accessing the API at the same time. And now what's happening is like there's a really specific rate limit because it's like a free API. that just generates a random word. At any rate, so we're going in here, and I do have the code for this, and I'm gonna be sending it up to GitHub, and you're gonna be able to access it in the LHD build repository that I actually have already prepared. Okay, cool. So it's working for some folks. It's giving me an error here, but it was like, just a moment ago not doing that. At any rate, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to put this code into a I'm going to put this into a function itself, so I don't keep calling it, and I'm just calling it whenever that function is invoked. So I'm going to call my function random word, and I'm going to grab my fetch call, and I'm going to put it inside of that function called random word. And to test it again, I'm going to invoke random word, and I'm going to see whether or not the word pops up, and it does. Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and delete that for now because I don't need it. Now what I want to do is I want to take this button here, this random word button that I have, and I want to assign an event listener over to it that triggers this function every time I click the button. So let's go ahead and go over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a class on this because it's just easier to work with classes when you are creating variables inside of JavaScript. So now that I've done that, I'm going to do const, and this is going to be called button. Document.query selector, and I'm going to call this button. Okay. And we should be good to go. So now I've got a variable called button. It's targeting the class of the button that's here. I'm going to take this button and I'm going to add event listener to this button. And from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you all the code to add the event listener. This is really it. It's a super simple function. So what you do is you're going to grab the event listener, you're going to assign the event, which is going to be a click, and then you're going to run a function. So here, you could just like invoke that function there. I might add more functionality to this later, so I'm just going to like call the anonymous function and then invoke random word here. Or you could just take random word and put it here. That would work as well. So this is the way I'm setting it up. So I've got this event listener that triggers this this function. Let's see if it works. Boom. Awesome. Every time I click this button, it gives me a new word. All right. Awesome. I'm glad that it's working for everyone. Adam, I'm going to quickly show you this HTML, and we'll pop it up here and show it to you very quickly. It's only a couple of lines. The script should be at the bottom, and make sure your type is module because it's going to come into play later on. And those are really the only like things that are in there right now. So otherwise you should be good to go. Now what I want to do is I want to take this response, and instead of like rendering it out to the console, what I want to do is I want to make sure that it's actually like popping up on the screen. So instead of console logging the response here, why is it type module? I'm going to get into that later. It's because I'm going to be importing my API key into app.js instead of actually like putting the API key into the API call in front of y'all, because that would just like have like a lot of issues with regards to like security. You also don't want to have to what's it called? You don't want to have to like push that stuff up into GitHub, because then someone could just like steal your information and then run up your API calls, and it's just not going to be a good time. So with that being said, as I mentioned before, I'm just going to start rendering this content onto the screen. I have this response here, and what I'm going to do is when I console log the response, you see that it's a word. So what I'm going to do is take this response, and I'm going to create document.create element, and it's going to be called h1. And actually, I'm going to assign this to a variable. So I'm going to say const random. I already have a thing called random word. So I'm going to say const word equals document.create element h1. So that's going to create an element for me called h1. And then I'm going to take that word, and I'm going to say text content equals response. And what this should do is take the response that we're getting, which is the random word, whenever I click this button, and it's going to assign it to the text content of the new h1 element that we're creating with this variable. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to take that word, and I am going to append it to the body. So there you go. Boom. Let's see what happens. Awesome. Now, instead of popping up on the console, it's popping up over here on the side. Every time I click the button, a new word gets added. That's not really going to be like what I want to do as far as like the behavior is concerned. Adam, as far as like the error is concerned, just make sure that you are like, you copied and pasted this whole thing, and that you took away the word home and replaced it with word $number. And then with the number, you're going to equal the number to however many words you want to call from the API at a time. Hopefully that works. For now, like I said, this is like expected behavior. I'm not really going back in there and like resetting the body to nothing. So what I can do here is I can say word.text content. So at the beginning, I could just like erase the text content and then run it again. Let's see if that works. No, see, yeah, it's giving me an error. So we'll figure it out in a moment. Right now, we're getting all of these words, and what we need to do is we need to, instead of like actually like creating all this stuff here, I actually want to create it outside of, I want to create it in global scope because I want this word to be accessible in global scope. So I'm just going to pop that in there. Then I'm going to test my thing again and make sure that it's working. So now that it's in global scope, we are actually just getting like, the same word text content replaced over and over and over again because I'm only creating the one thing. Here you were creating H1 elements over and over and over again, but now we're only creating the one. Text content is taking it. So .text content is very similar to inner HTML. It's just a more secure version of inner HTML. Because if you have like something like text.innerHTML, you can add anything into the HTML tag that you're referencing, that you're storing inside of your variable. In our case, it's an H1 tag inside of the word variable. But if you use text content, you can only input text there. So that's why it's a little bit more secure than inner HTML. But essentially what it's doing is, I'll kind of walk you through it. We're creating an H1 tag, and the H1 tag looks like this. And what I'm doing is I'm adding text content into it. So this is exactly what text content is doing. So here the class is word. So essentially this is what your JavaScript is doing. It's taking an H1 tag that's called word. That's stored inside of the variable word, and it's replacing the text content with whatever it is you're getting as your response from the API. So we're going to go ahead and delete that. Hopefully that explains it. Let's see here. Boom. We're just going to push up over here. And now what we need is we need another API call. We need to create another API call that stores random definition. So I'm just going to go ahead and be proactive and create the random definition function here. Boom. And I'm going to start creating my fetch call and stuff like that. So I don't know what the fetch call is. I'm just going to go into Merriam-Webster's Developers Dictionary API here, and we're going to expand it a little bit, and we're just going to start learning how to do it. And here we're going to go into APIs. We're going to want to go into documentation. Well, you know what? I found it here before. It's going to be APIs. And what I'm going to do is when you sign up for this, you're going to pick like any of these APIs, and that's going to be the API that you're actually referencing. For me, it's going to be Collegiate Dictionary. And it shows me all the stuff that it does. And here it gives me an actual fetch call example, which is awesome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and plop that in there. And let me expand this bad boy a little bit here. Ah, come on. There you go. All right. So got it expanded. Sure that everything's there. So here what you're going to do is you're going to replace key with your API key. And here what you're going to do is you're going to replace the word that you want with like whatever word, like you're going to replace this word voluminous with whatever word it is you're trying to actually like grab the definition for. So with that being said, as you can see here, I've got an env.js file. I'm not going to show y'all what's inside my env.js file, but I can assure you that inside of that env.js file, what's going to be there is it's going to be an API key. So I'm going to go ahead and replace the one I have. Oh, you saw it. So essentially what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to import what is inside of that env.js file into this file. And you know what? For y'all following along, you don't really need to do it this way. You could just like go ahead and plop like your actual like API key in there. Just be wary that when you're actually like importing your code onto GitHub that you hide the API key or you just delete it altogether. So here, this is how you would import it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import info from m.js because I have something exporting from m.js called info. And yeah, the info is what is actually storing my API key. An API key is essentially it's like a password that the developers for that API provide for everyone that signs on to use their API. And like, yeah, it allows you access to whatever information the API actually includes. So for those of y'all not actually familiar with APIs, what you're gonna want to like take note of is the fact that it's just like well, first of all, what it stands for is Application Programming Interface. And what it does is it allows you to access either services, functionalities, or like data sets that exist within an application programming interface that someone else has created. And it allows you to get access to that information by doing things like fetch call or like Axios or, you know, things like async, whatever method you're using to actually like grab that information. Essentially what it boils down to is the fact that you're asking for information via HTTP protocol, via hypertext transfer protocol. And this is what that is like. So essentially when I log on to this like URL, when I access this URL, it's going to give me very specific information. Could you put the fetch link in the Twitch chat? Let me see here. Which one do you want? Here, I'm going to put this fetch in there for y'all. I'll put the fetch from here. It's just going to be the fetch. It's not going to be the function that holds the fetch. So just bear that in mind. I'm just going to go ahead and drop that in the chat there. Boom. All righty. We're making decent time. We're about halfway through. And to tell you the truth, we're almost done. So I just want to like double check my m.js. You're not going to be able to copy this real quick. So I'm just going to call it. Okay, so cool. It's called info.key. So my object is called info. And the key pair that I need is .key. And this should work because what's going to happen is it's going to input my API key directly into this request. And here, as you can see, I put everything in backtick so that I can use a template literal to bring that information and actually insert it into the URL. So now I'm going to go ahead and test that. And just by doing that, I'm just going to go ahead and start creating my response, start creating my then statements response. And then I'm going to return it, obviously, as a response.json. And the reason I'm doing this is because JSON is just a lot easier to read when you're going through there. The fancy apostrophe is a curly brace. And the, oh, these are backticks. I don't know if that's what you're referring to, actually. So yeah, these like single quotations are backticks in the top left corner of your keyboard. And what they allow you to do is they allow you to use like template literals. So like essentially whenever you're using this syntax right here, this $ curly braces info.key, what you're doing is you're grabbing information from another piece of code and you're literally inputting it into a string. So that's like the big thing. Here you'll see like I'm just using a string as like as part of the fetch call in order to access the URL. Here I'm taking a string and I'm adding like dynamic code to it. So in order to do that, you need to use backticks to represent the string. And it tells JavaScript, hey, this is a string, but it also has like some dynamic content in it that may be referencing like variables inside of the code base. Yeah, I mean, it's a backtick. So if you know where the tilde is, it's usually like the tilde with the backtick. Like the backtick is right underneath it. So if you want, you can here. If you want, what I can do is I'm gonna copy. I'm gonna paste the backtick in there for you. Boom. Let me know if that works for you. All right, so I've got the .then response in there. Now I'm gonna take the response that I'm getting. It should be in JSON format. And what I want to do is I want to console log the response. So I can take a look at, you know, what kind of data I'm dealing with and, you know, figure out how I'm going to like handle like grabbing that data moving forward. And as always, I always put the catch in there. Oops, can't type. So I've got my random definition function. I just got to invoke it. That's why it's all grayed out there. spelling it right? I misspelled definition. That's ironic. All right, so let's go back into our console. And as you can see here, boom, I've got this. It's so random. I don't even know what this means. It's giving me an array. It's got some objects inside of it. This is the first object. This is the first index value of the array. Now it's got definitions here, but like these definitions break out into like an array with objects inside of it. They've got this. It's called short def. It's an array, and it's got 3 definitions inside of it, it seems. And these seem pretty straightforward. So I'm going to go for that. I'm going to try to just like isolate my calls for each one of these like invocations to give me the short def, because this looks like the most usable information for me. Everything else I'm not really going to be needing. So let's try to work on that for now. I know that when I console log a response, I get this entire object. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to take the response and maybe do short def here, and then just take like the first like index value. So it's property undefined, and the response is an array. So I do need to take like maybe the first part of that array. Okay, that's not working. All right, so let's go back to the drawing board and see what's going on here. All right, so let's look at this again. Boom. So, all right, so it gives me an array with an object inside of it. So I know that the response, I need to actually like get the first, I need to get the first index value. So I think I was right here by saying 0. And then here I'm going to do short def. And yeah, I want to grab the 0 part of this. Oh, okay. Interesting. So it looks like it just gives me everything. And this looks usable to me as well. Like it gives me everything. Large, also full. This is for voluminous, by the way. So from here, short def. This is weird. I think this is okay. Let's see if this renders out. I mean, it looks like it's giving me the information I need, right? Like it's got this stuff. And then every time, so it's got this array with the definition inside of it. I'm not sure why these are just like broken out into their own little thing here. Could you show us how to do the local host thing? Yeah, I'll do that towards the end. I'll try to leave some information. I'll try to leave some time before the end just to make sure like we know how to like actually like register and then like put everything up on Devpost. So let's see here. This looks good. I think I'm gonna stick with this for now. Maybe for the sake of time, I'll like reference like what I was doing the other day and see how I was at. Yeah, I was doing it short def 0. Yeah, which is weird. That's anyway. Okay, so let's go. Let's see if this works. For some reason, it was giving me an error before. Oh, no, it wasn't. It was just like actually grabbing the text of it, which is cool. All right, so this works. So just to reiterate, let's go back. You get a response object. It's an array with objects inside of it. What I want to do is I want to grab the first index value of that array. And then from that first index value of the array, or the 0th index value of the array, what I'm going to grab is the short def. And from here, from this short def, I just want to grab like the first one that they give, because this, like, I don't want to bring out like too many definitions. I kind of just want to keep it short and simple. So let's do that. Boom. Now that I have that, I'm constantly getting the definition for voluminous. And that's not really what I want, you know? So what I want is I want to get the word. So the word text content response, like this word variable that I created up here, that's what awesome. So that's what I want to, that's great, Adam. I'm glad that worked out for you. But essentially what I want to do is I want to grab the word that I'm rendering up here. So whenever I hit this, I get this word I get like a random word here, right? What I want to do is I want to take that word and I want to add it as a template literal in place of voluminous here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this well, you know what? I'll just I'll invoke it whenever it gets invoked. Let's see here. What I want to do is I want to console log word, and I want to run random definition every time the button gets clicked as well. So there's going to be a better way of doing that, but we'll just check it out for now. So let me click the, yeah, just give me a sec. So here, as you can see, I'm only bringing down the H1 file. So we're running over what the how to do the end file in a bit. I'll do that towards the end because it's like something that you don't need to necessarily follow along at the top for the time being, but it's definitely something I could show you how to do. All right, so it's giving me when I console log word here on line 21, what it's giving me is actual tags, like actual H1 tags. So I kind of don't want that. What I want is text content. So let's see what the text content is. Let's push the button. Okay, so it's a little bit behind, it seems, right? So the first one doesn't give me anything, but the second one does. Let's figure out how we can go about kind of making sure that this isn't the case. Well, first off, what I want to do is I want to append. Well, you know what? I do want to append it there. All right, so let's see what we can do here. What I want to do, since it's behind, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this random definition function, and instead of having like the random definition function be called synchronously with the random word function, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call the random definition function in the then portion of this random word function, and then I'm going to pass the word variable into it. So this way, whenever you run random definition as a function, it's getting the word from your response, like the random word that you generate, it's getting that information passed over to the function. So here I'm going to also turn this, I'm going to turn my variable to word, and then I'm going to console log again, and let's see whether or not they pop up synchronously. Boom. So awesome. So as you can see in my console, I'm getting the word, and then I'm getting the actual definition. And essentially, like, you know what, like technically you're good to go. This is the challenge. You've made two APIs like connect to one another. But what we want to do is we actually want to render this definition over to the screen. So, and we also, we want to make sure that we're actually taking we're getting the definition of the random word that we generate. So now that we know like the word.text content variable is is giving us the information that we need, is giving us the content that we need, we're gonna just delete that. But first I'm gonna take this word.text content. I'm gonna grab that, I'm gonna expand my page here, and in the place of voluminous, I'm going to do $ curly brace word.text content and curly brace. And what that's going to do is going to take the word.text content, and instead of the word voluminous, it's going to just like dynamically input whatever the random word that I generate is into this HTTP call, into this fetch call. So let's see if that works. We're going to check it in console. Cannot read property 0 of undefined. All right, so I'm getting the word, but it's telling me the property of 0 is undefined. I'm not getting like I'm not getting an issue with the HTTP call. There, like the issue might be where what information I'm actually like grabbing from the API. So this index value may not exist. It may just have like one short def. Unfortunately, like what we can do is we can just like let's keep generating words and see what happens. So if I do scurrility, it actually does grab that first definition for me, and so on and so forth. So sometimes it does it, sometimes it doesn't. And what I want to do in the case of that is I'm going to start handling those errors in a moment. But first, what I want to do is I want to start grabbing this response that I am creating, and I want to start assigning that over to like to an element that I create every time that the random word button is actually pushed. So let's go in here. I've got this console log right now. I'm going to replace the console log, but first I am going to just start coding out what my console log is going to include. And for the sake of time, I've already thought about this. I kind of forgot about it, but let's see what I did here. So what I did was I took the so I created a new I created a new variable called definition, and it creates a p tag. Okay, so yep. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new variable, and I'm going to call this definition, and I'm going to create a paragraph tag here. And sorry about that. Like, I definitely made sure to like make sure this was working before, just so I can stay within time. And it looks like we only have 15 minutes left, so that's kind of why I'm referencing that. So I've got this const definition equals document.createElement. And what I'm going to do is take this definition, and I am going to start assigning text content to that definition. So I'm going to say definition text content equals response 0.shortDef 0. And then I'm going to say body.append child, definition. So what this is doing is it's assigning this response value as the text content of definition, which is a variable that I created that actually creates a p tag for me every time it's rendered, every time it's called, or, every time it's called here, reference. And what I'm doing is I'm taking that definition and I'm appending that variable over to the body here. So let's see if it works. Boom, awesome. So that's pretty much it. I mean, I hit this and I get a definition that renders here. If you wanted to kind of like, if you wanted to kind of dress this up a little bit more, what you could do is you could say definition, and then you can concatenate it with the response object that you're receiving. And let's see if that works. Yep. And as you can see, is definition, spinal column, spine-like is spinal column. And that's weird. Now it's like, okay. Yeah, so we still have that error every time like that zeroth like index doesn't exist, something happens. So let's try this. Let's try just short def, right? Let's see if this works. That might be a better way of doing it. Yeah, I mean, that looks like a better way of doing it, but sometimes it still doesn't work because like sometimes there's no like zeroth index here. You know what? It's up to you how you want to like continue to like handle those errors. What you could do is maybe something like you could create an if statement here. So like if response 0.shortDef does not equal null, you could then assign, you can then say, oh, sorry about that. Jeez Louise, what did I do? There you go. You could then put this inside of the body there. So this is like an if statement. So if this is not null, then definitely assign it as this. Else definition.text content equals definition plus response.shortDef. See if it works. Let's see if that handles it. Okay, let's keep clicking. Oh, okay, so we still get it. Boo. So that doesn't handle it. Cannot read property of undefined. I wish I didn't like go through that so quickly so I could like see what the actual like word was that I generated. Let's see if we can like generate the word. You know what we could do? Else we could say definition. We could say no definition available. Maybe we could do that instead. And it looks like for the most part it's working. It's just like annoying when you do get that kind of like silly thing. Yeah, it's not working as far as like actually rendering that that error, because it's not necessarily an error, it's a type error. It's saying property 0 is undefined. Let's see, undefined. There you go, because it's not null. It's not null, it's undefined. So let's see if we keep getting that. Boom, 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 boom. It looks like it's working for the most. Oh, yeah, see, another type error. So, oops. I'm doing it too much. Random word generator. Watch your mouth. Okay, so let's see. Type error, cannot read property 0 of undefined. All right, so I mean, I feel like this should have worked, but you know what? Like, it is what it is. For the most part, it's working. If you want, you could like try to handle those errors and like kind of flesh out your project a little bit more on your end. Let's see here. Some people wanted me to kind of explain what the env.js is. Let's see here. I go into, okay, so the env.js, and this is just like before I actually just like play myself and give you all my like API key. I'm just gonna go in here real quick and delete this bad boy. And there you go. And hopefully none of you caught that. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say here my key. And now my code's not gonna work anymore because essentially I just broke my code because it no longer has an API key installed, right? So what you wanna do is you wanna take your API key because as I mentioned before, it's very sensitive information and you wanna create an env.js file. Inside of that env.js file, you're going to export a constant variable, and you can name it whatever you want. I called mine info, and inside of that variable, you're going to create an object, and this object is like it's a key, and then it has like my key as a what's it called? As a value pair. So this is what's happening there, and what I do then is I go into my app.js and I import info from the env.js file. And then I take info.key, because it's key here. I take that and then I reference it inside of my Merriam's Dictionary API call. Why do you have to have a key? Because it's because my dictionary API that I'm using, it's not a completely public API. Whereas the first one that we used was a completely public API that you didn't need actual security access to use, which is kind of why like it just like kind of limits how many like calls you can make every time. Can I show the input again? I'm not sure which input you're referring to. Import. Okay. All right. So yeah. So the import. I could use context to figure that out, but it's fine. We're there. So the import is going to look like this. What you're doing is you're importing the env.js file, but what I'm doing is I'm actually like destructuring the import, destructuring the env.js file by essentially just like bringing in this info variable that I created because that's all I need. And once you import this from your env.js file, you can now start using whatever's inside of that object inside of your code here, right? So what I can do is I can actually console log at the top here. I could just console log info and see what pops up. Ugh, what's going on? I think this is supposed to look like this. So there you go. Yep. Sorry about that. It's a semicolon, not an equal sign. I think when I like deleted my thing really quickly, I put an equal sign in there by accident and didn't recognize it. So inside of objects, you don't have equal signs. You have a semicolon that separates your key and your value. So here you're going to want to, I think, Adam, this is probably what's going on, is go into your env.js file and make sure it's key, semicolon, my key. And then from there, you're going to import it the same way. And when you console log it inside of your app.js file, you're going to get this. You say key.mykey. But for you, it should say key and then whatever API key you have from the Merriam Dictionary, dictionaryapi.com. And you're going to find that by clicking on here, on keys, on your keys. So for git ignore, what you're going to do is you're going to go in there and first of all, create the git ignore file and make sure that's inside of your file structure. And inside of git ignore, what you're going to do is you're going to literally just write env.js, and that's it. And if you want, you can comment this out to yourself. You could say, ignoring my API key import for security reasons, or whatever you want to say. Essentially, you see how it's grayed out on my file explorer here? It's because now VS Code knows not to upload that into my GitHub repository. So that's essentially it. My app is broken. I wanted to like press that button a couple more times, but it's broken because I deleted my API key before anyone with bad intentions could find it. With that being said, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and show y'all all of the files here. We didn't use styles.css. I'll show you the index.html file again. All I have in there is a button with the class button, and it's got the text random word inside of it. Oh, dude. I mean, whatever. I'm just going to delete my account. I'm just going to say it was Adam Drummond if anything happens. How about that? So, so this is everything y'all need to know. And essentially, now what I'm going to do is just open up a terminal here and just add this over to here. I'm just going to hit git add, git commit m, and I'm going to say API project work. All right, git push origin master. Can I still do that? Nope. Git push u main. Every time. Git put like, so I'm like kind of like a boomer when it comes to like GitHub. So I say git push origin master. So that doesn't work anymore. So it's git push u main. Not read from the remote repository. All right, so I'm going to, I had the same issue last time. Jeez. All right, git push. Let's see, let's cd into API project. Let's say git push. All right, let's go back one. Okay, cd into LHD build, ls, and I'm gonna say, I did git add, I did git commit, I did git push, main. Well, I don't know. I'm gonna figure it out. Let's go into GitHub real quick. Sorry about that, y'all. So, okay, so GitHub, I'm gonna look at my repository. Here we go. And all right, all my work that was saved the other day, and that's inside of main. Yeah, so this is what I'm trying to do. All right, let's go into LHD build. Maybe, okay, CD websites redesign. Maybe, you know what, that's what I'm hoping, git push. I mean, like everything, updates are rejected, remote containers get pull. Okay, awesome, git push, ls, git, let's see, git status, to commit, use git pull main, anyway, git push, updates are rejected to be your current version behind, hint, remote counterpart, remote changes. That doesn't make sense. All right, let me just check my file structure. Boom, I've got API project in there. Got everything in there. I'm gonna get this up for y'all, and this is like exactly what happened last time, so I'm not surprised. I know, it's terrible. I feel terrible, but you know what? Reference this repo a little bit later. You know what? Like, I'm not sure if there's anyone actually like ahead of me that's waiting to stream. So let's see here if anyone's kind of like reaching out to me. Boom. Let me move y'all aside here. Alrighty, and yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do. Lots of hate. So I'm just gonna like try to make sure we get this GitHub popping real quick before I leave. So we're gonna follow the instructions here, and it gives us these like super readable instructions that are awesome. Can you please share the link to the dictionary API that you're using? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm sticking around just to like give y'all a couple more minutes of content. I never get 100%. Me neither. You know what? I don't think anyone does. And they really threw me for a loop by like changing this like entire workflow. I didn't know before I started doing the LHD build, so I should have looked into it a little bit more. Someone helped me out the last time and it just worked, and I figured whatever, you know, it is what it is. So let's see here. Yeah, none of this stuff is really appealing to me. So I'm just gonna go ahead and Control Q there. All right. Okay. So here I am. I'm gonna trash this one, and we're just gonna start again. And I'm gonna go to terminal. Yeah, no, seriously, that's what's killing me right now, coding polar bear. Here, I'm just gonna go ahead and yeah. +1 for that one. Same Z's. Let's see. What was I doing? Oh yeah, I was here. So I'm gonna go in here, ls. I'm gonna say git add, git commit, API project work. Right, 2 files changed, 1 insertion, and now I'm gonna say git push. All right. So rejected main to main non-fast forward. Updates were rejected because its tip of your current branch is behind. Hint, its remote counterpart. Integrate the remote changes using git pull before pushing again. See the note about fast forwards and git push. Help. Okay. I mean, I didn't commit anything to my previous one, so I'm going to say git pull u main. So I got to set upstream again. That doesn't make sense whatsoever. All right. So okay. So here's what we're going to do. Let's say git pull. Fusing to merge unrelated histories. Interesting. Here's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, I did. I pushed. See? I committed the changes. I added the changes. I committed the changes, and then I pushed. Yeah. It's not a new repository. It's my existing LHD build repository that I was using with y'all earlier. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to move this stuff into a different folder. And yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move it into a different folder. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to create a new repository. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to give y'all something different to use to reference so you can like, you know, take the code and do with it what you will. Repositories. Boom, we're going to add a new repository. And we're going to say, we're going to call this API project because that's what it is. And we're going to call this awesome API project and also IDU GitHub. Okay, so it's going to be private. We're going to create the repository. Let's see here. All right, awesome. So now we can do what it is that you're referring to. So I'm going to CD back to my desktop. I moved everything over to a different project. So it's API project now. ls. So I've got this. So in here, I want to git init. And then I'm going to git add. And then I'm going to git commit m API project work. Awesome. And then, so I've done that. Then it tells me git branch m main. All right. Git remote add. Cool. Git remote add this. Awesome. And then it says git push u origin main. Alrighty, that seems to have worked. If I reset this, I should have my stuff in there. Awesome. So I've got a git ignore. I don't know why the git ignore is popping up here. That shouldn't really be there, but whatevs. Let's see, script.js. Also, this is script.js versus like actual like app.js that I was using before. So now what I want to do is, since I've got this, I'm gonna go ahead and link everyone to it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into settings, and I'm actually gonna publish this to GitHub pages. Let's see if I can do that. So sources, and I'm gonna say main. Yep, save that. And let's see if it gives me, yep, it gives me a cool link. And that should be, up and running shortly. I just like to create this link and then put it inside of my README. Add a README, some API project, and I'm gonna say, click here. How you do it? I think it's like brackets here, actually. Click here. Alrighty. Hopefully, let's preview it. All right, commit new file. What do you need me to show you? How to do GitHub pages? Oh, yeah. Sure. Okay, so I'm going to show GitHub pages again. So when you're inside of your repository, just make sure everything that you are actually rendering out to the internet, especially your index.html file, is in the root part of your folder. And you're going to go into settings. And when you go down to settings, what you're going to do is you're going to scroll down and you're going to go here. It says GitHub pages. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to select your main branch. And here you're taking your root folder and then you're saving it. And what this does is it's going to render your index.html file to the internet. And here we are. And I'm getting errors on this. Is this the same one? Well, you get the idea. If your app was working beforehand, sorry about that. If your app was working beforehand, it'll publish there. And as you can see, it published my app to this link. So you got the random word thing. Dress it up, make it look a little nicer before you do that. Oh, I keep doing that. Make it look a little nicer before you do that. But other than that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add like the links to all of these APIs inside of my README as well. So anyone that wants to go in there and kind of like reference it at a later point in time, feel free to do so. I'm going to edit this again. Also, how does GitHub work? And I'm going to say APIs I used were, and then make a list of APIs. Boom. And here y'all can reference them. Cool. And that's it for now. I'm just gonna like commit the changes. No biggie. Oh, that is kind of like, I don't like that. I'm gonna edit this file real quick. And I am going to say VR. Okay. Cool. And then here I'm going to do ER as well. Did I set a repo secret? I put all my stuff into my git ignore. So here I've got a git ignore here. I don't know why it's popping up on the actual. It shouldn't be in GitHub, my git ignore, but whatever. We'll figure that out in a moment. Yeah, I didn't set a secret. I'm just importing my key through this kind of like roundabout way. If there's a better way that for doing it, then definitely use that way. But for now, like I haven't uploaded my API key onto GitHub, so yeah, hopefully no one hacks me. My password is not password, so please don't try. But yeah, that's it. That's essentially it. It's going to be in your GitHub repository. So the API key there is going to be in your GitHub. So he's asking, Adam is asking how he gets the API key into GitHub pages. So yeah, it's going to be there. You're going to be referencing it from your file structure. Like that's why I created the end.js file, because I wanted to import it into my JavaScript file and kind of hide it that way. So you can create a secret as well. I mean, it's not something I did this time because it's pretty rudimentary. And also, this is a free API anyway. So, it's still more secure to do it this way to make sure that you're actually not uploading the API key onto your GitHub repository. That's just the one thing I'm trying to like impress upon you. But if you have other ways of like actually hiding that information, feel free to go about doing it that way. It does upload though. It should actually be able to access any API that you're using through Let me just double check that, because last time I did click it and I was just like, why is it not working? So maybe you're right. Console. So this is a 404, which means that it's like a actual like security protocol. So let's see, error 404. Hypertext transfer protocol stands for to indicate the router was able to, but the server could not find what was requested. Okay, so something is wrong with my fetch call. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So it looks like, from what I'm hearing, from the feedback I'm getting, is that it's just not something that you're going to be able to do with that method. So with that being said, let's go ahead. Well, you know what? I'm going to figure it out, because like we're way over time right now. Like obviously it's already 6:40, but I'm just going to like kind of like try to point you out to the right direction as far as this goes, because right now you don't need to have the actual like application deployed to GitHub Pages in order to get credit for it. Just make sure that, like it works in your local environment, and that should be good to go. But as far as like doing this is concerned, how do I hide my API key before uploading to GitHub? It's going to tell you, hide API keys. Hide API keys on GitHub. Oh, just get points for actually completing the week-long project. So here, I'm just going to go ahead and drop this in there for y'all to reference. Boom. And yeah, if I figure it out, I'll update my GitHub repo and you'll see that everything's working. So, just feel free to check back in at a later point in time. As far as the code is concerned, the code is good to go. If you want to submit the challenge, you're going to go into Devpost here. And this is going to be the build week-long challenges in Devpost. And I'm just going to go ahead and link this again down here. Can I? Maybe, yeah, I'll try. I'll take a look at it and see. I did hear about it today and I thought it was pretty funny. But yeah, when you want to like actually go in and do your week-long project, you're just going to go in here and you're going to edit your project. And I kind of walked through this earlier. You're just going to do the name, do the elevator pitch, save and continue. So I'm just going to say test here, and save and continue. Here it gives you like, some more stuff. Like here you can just add the stuff in your README essentially. Built with, and then I'm going to say here, JavaScript, dictionary, API, random word generator, API. And here, where we can see your code, I'm just going to add this just here. And I don't have a video demo or anything like that, but I'm going to save and continue. Oh, it tells me I still got to like add stuff here. And, I'm just going to like kind of like flesh this out later. Be sure to write what inspired you. I don't know what the requirements for that are. Can't be blank. Okay, cool. Save and continue. And yeah, just like, which challenge did you do? So here you're going to say connect two APIs together. Boom. And then you're going to read terms and conditions and then you're going to submit project. I'm not going to submit this project because it's not really well done right now. I'm just going to go back and like change all of the information, but that's like the general workflow of how you would go about doing that. So that's it for the time being. You know what, like if y'all have any other questions, feel free to just like, you can hit me up on Devpost. I'll try to like go and join the Discord so y'all can like kind of interact with me there as well. And yeah, for the time being, just feel free to check out the GitHub repository. I've got one question coming in from Coding Polar Bear. Added config.json file to the git ignore. And I'm just going to show this real quick. Yeah, no problem. And when pushed to Roku, it throws error because it can find the API key in the config file. Any ideas? Yeah, so essentially, like there was like an issue with the git ignore. So I did forward over a link here from GitHub. I'm just going to add it here again. This is how you can hide your API keys. Feel free to like go in there and like take a look at it and see, like whether or not it works for you. But definitely like it's always good practice. I'm not really used to like hiding API keys in JavaScript, to be quite honest. It's not something that I do quite often. I'm usually doing the API hiding I can hide the API keys very easily in like the end file inside of like a Java like folder or something like that. Like anything is just like running from JetBrains or IntelliJ. It's pretty simple to do it that way. But yeah, read through that documentation. I'm sure you'll be good to go. Don't upload your API key onto GitHub. Whatever you do, if anything, just like delete it. And then like, you know, like if you want to demo your project, create a video of you doing it in your local environment and then upload that into your dev post. And yeah, I mean, as far as like other advice is concerned, that's really all I have to offer at this point. But, you know, I hope you enjoyed this content. I know I was a little bit late, but we went a little bit over to kind of like, you know, to kind of like offset that time that I wasn't here. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed all this. It was super fun, actually, like getting to do this kind of work again. I haven't like programmed in a little while, so as you can tell, I'm a little bit rusty. But you know what? Like super fun. I will try to hit up the dyno as you are pointing out, Adam, and you know I'll try to interact with y'all a little bit later. But for the time being, I'm gonna peace out and get myself some food. So hope y'all enjoyed and have a good day.